Hi y'all, I just made my rogue. Uh, their name is Madi. They come from the Forgotten Shrine, which at one time was hosting this portal to heaven through which their god Mindarok accepted offerings and is now ruined. Um, they follow the Wind Path, which is uh, the name for the religion, but also it's sort of the all of the accumulated knowledge and wisdom of Mindarok, and Madi is both blessed and cursed to carry this knowledge forward and wander the lands and survive with this knowledge um, ever since the shrine was destroyed. And they also carry the Hippo Staff, which is, in addition to being a mean defensive weapon, it also magically assists the wielder's strength, which can be useful in all kinds of situations, I think. So for the feats heroic, we have Jovial is shoving the Hippo Staff downward and leaping upwards to ride their opponents like a mount. Glum would be praying to Mindarok for guidance against the challenge ahead. And this is subject to change if somebody else wants to take the trick, but I really like the Eidolon I have, so I chose Locus, which will be the Forgotten Shrine Ruins. And you can see I posted the Eidolon on the sheet there of all these stone ruins around, and then this massive portal in the middle. So that's the introduction. Everything's on the sheet as well. Let me know what you think.
Hi guys, I'm playing Valanir, the Old Wolf. My Eidolon is this ancient helmet. I've taken as my things that deserve a name, excuse me, cat, a Gishalmir, which is my family's ancestral armor. Valanir buried it at one point when he was younger to try and live a peaceful life. I've also taken the Wolfen, which is the clan that I used to serve, but I abandoned it. And I've also taken Iron Hand, who is a man that I have brought my armor out of retirement to find. Unless somebody wants it, I've taken the Undenied trick for a second feat heroic. I have two jovial feats. The first is, with a wolf's snarl, Valanir makes a show of physical prowess. And the second is, Valanir makes good use of his great shield, breaking it against an enemy. My glum feat is, in the thick of battle, Valanir makes no attempts to deflect blows, trusting instead to the strength of his ancient armor. I don't think there's anything else I have to say. I linked my Eidolon and finished up character creation. And unless somebody else wants the Undenied trick, I think I'm good to go. I'm looking forward to playing with you guys.
Hi there. My rogue is Ashash, a fugitive snake man prince. He stole the crimson egg from certain destruction by the royal family. The crimson egg is prophesied to bring about a great change in the world. Like all snake men of royal lineage, he possesses the mesmer gaze, a hypnotic and entrancing stare that can temporarily befuddle anyone caught in it, as well as Vesper, a magic rope that comes when called and can tie itself in knots. His jovial feat is darting in and out of shadows, striking and then disappearing in a flash. And his glum feat is tasting fear on the air. I am going to take the trick Adroit Prowess, which is going to be shedding his tattered old skin and emerging fresh, reinvigorated, and new. Looking forward to jumping into this. All right.
Okay, rolling for overtone. Looks like a 5 on Jovial. Okay, so the three of you have come to the great volcano that they call Humbia, in order to rescue a shaman of the Pearwood clan, who's been captured by the flame bearers of this area. And climbing the mountain, although the air was cool as you rose in altitude, now that you've come closer to the peak of Humbia, the air has become noxious and acrid, full of ash and steam and gases that burns your throat and your nostrils as you breathe. And as you approach the peak of Humbia, you notice a secondary caldera over there, kind of off to the side from the main peak, and it's a pretty good distance from the main peak. And alongside this caldera, you see the shaman. They're hogtied with their feet and hands bound behind their back, laying on their side. And around the rim of this magma chamber, this crater, this will be the thunder. You see about 10 of these flame bearers. Their skin is painted bright orange and yellow. It almost looks like mud the way it cracks and kind of peels off of them. And they're all standing around this chamber of lava with their arms outstretched, and they're chanting in unison. And as their chanting grows louder and louder, the level of the lava within this chamber begins to rise, and it begins to boil and to bubble and pop and hiss louder as the chants get louder as well. So that's your thunder, is this rising lava and this loud chanting from the flame bearers. This is a rogue's phase, if I haven't mentioned that. I'm going to pass the dice to Valinir. Valinir, show us how you are able to distract some or maybe all of these flame bearers so that your other rogues may take action as well.
Okay, I'm going to roll. Here are my dice. The 6 is that side. I have stymied. So I guess the answer is that I don't distract them. I think that the challenge here for Valinir is that Valinir is from a cold place. A place of winters and rough seas, and a volcano is just not his natural habitat at all. His heavy armor is a burden in a place like this. He's practically being cooked in an oven.
Leave him alone.
Excuse me, buddy. And I think that he's doing his best to bear this in silence, because the overtone flips when a stymie is rolled. And honestly, I feel like he begins to enact this plan. He begins to charge forward and to engage these flame speakers. And I feel like they turn against him and begin enacting magic against him that just makes his armor just boiling hot against his skin, and he can do nothing but fall to a knee and resist this and stand against it for as long as he can. But without help, I don't think he's got much going. I'm reading the phase sheet. It's been a while since I've played Swords Without Master. Please bear with me. There's not an easy way to pause this and resume. Yeah, I'm going to pass the dice. I'm still learning everyone's names here. I need to write them down so I can remember them. I am going to pass the dice to our resident snake person. How do you rescue Valinir from this horrendous spell? And I will pass it, and that's it. I'm bad at videos.
Of course, with any stymie comes an escalation. So before Shosh rolls the dice to take action, I'm going to say that not only is while Valinir is cooking in his own armor, um, more ash is beginning to spew out of nearby vents. It's quietly billowing out more and more thicker clouds of ash and smoke, and beginning to darken the air and obscure everybody's vision.
Whew. Oh boy, I am not very good at this app so far here. This is the fourth time I've tried to actually take this, and I keep hitting the wrong button or hitting stop when I mean to flip the screen around and all that. So I apologize here. If this sounds rehearsed, that's why. I'm going to try and do my best to keep the same narration. Anyway, I had rolled a stymie, a 6-6, and as the acrid and billowing smoke kind of comes and closes down around us, Ashash, drops his bow, and realizing he can't get a shot off through the thick smoke to where he thought the kind of head snake bearer who was leading the spell was located. So he drops his bow and slithers forward towards Valinir, whose armor is, beginning to glow brighter and brighter as the heat intensifies. And just as he reaches Valinir, smoke filling his lungs, he's able to reach out and grasp Valinir by the hand, where the heat is not as intense, but the smoke is kind of closing in around them. And so that's a stymie. The overtone is going to flip again back to jovial. So I think Ashash says to Valinir, like, I have you, friend. Like, we'll find our way out together. But he does not know the way out, can't see it through the thick smoke. And it's beginning to kind of choke and cough on the smoke as Valinir's armor continues to heat up. So I'm going to pass the dice to Mahdi, and I'm going to demand to show us how Mahdi is able to give us a moment of respite here and show us a sense of direction.
Wow, 2 stymies in a row. So that means I get to escalate again. So we're now back to jovial. I think as Ashash and Valinir are kind of like close, kind of huddled together, in this smoky mist, right? It starts to swirl around you, and I think Mahdi can see this, but Valinir and Ashash, you cannot see this. But the flame bearers are actually in the smoke and steam and ash, and they're like walking around you, moving faster and faster and faster. And the smoke is beginning to ignite. The ash is beginning to ignite and glow red hot. It's almost like you're in this vortex of fire and flame and ash as the blackness begins to glow. At first a dull orange, but it is turning into a brighter and brighter color. So that is the escalation before we get to see what Mahdi's able to do. Hopefully you can avoid a stymie.
Okay. Let's see what we get. We have jovial. Oh, you can't really see it. Jovial 5, glum 3. So let's see if we can make some progress here. Let's see, Mahdi looking through the haze and seeing the marching circle and their friends just sort of lost inside this tornado. I think doesn't quite want to risk jumping in directly into this ash cloud, but instead kind of circles around to where the lava fall is filling this refilling this caldera, right? And taking the hippo staff, takes a big swipe and flings some of the molten rock over towards the dang ritualists or magicians or whatever we call them, and just kind of takes such a quick swipe that it won't damage the staff, right? But it just sends like these splashes over into the path of the circle, and sends some of the bad guys scattering around, dodging the splashes, right? And they come after Mahdi, but that does mean that their magic circle is interrupted while they deal with that, and so the wind sort of dies down a bit, and Mahdi, picks up her or their hippo staff and does one of those cool twirly moves, and sort of sets themselves against the foes, ready to fight, while the glowing magical runes on the end of the staff sort of light up and provide almost like a lighthouse, provide a guiding light out of the ash for their friends. Oh yeah. Let me see. I will make a demand of let's see. Valinir. Show us how you. Well, let me see. Yeah. Show us how you cool your armor enough to bring the fight to these foes.
Well, you just can't make this up. I rolled on camera and I stopped because I had to think about what it meant. I have rolled another stymie, double sixes, and I don't even know what to make of it. I think that the core of the demand is how does Valinir cool the armor, and I think the answer is just that he doesn't. Cat, buddy. Yeah, I think the answer is that he doesn't. He knows in this hellscape that there's no respite in sight. There is no cooling, and so when Mahdi breaks up the firestorm, and he sees an opportunity, he just accepts it. He bears this blazing armor. Cat, man. Sorry. He bears his blazing armor forward and just straight into the closest flame priest, and just with grim silence grabs him and lifts him up and just holds him against the fiery heat of this armor. And I don't even think the guy really has time to scream, or maybe he and Valinir are both screaming, because this is intense pain that he is putting aside through sheer force of will. He creates an opening by just essentially sacrificing his well-being, and he does not have cold armor. He's just going to be in a horrible pain for as long as I keep rolling stymies. I think I'm going to bat it back to Mahdi, if you'll permit me skipping a shosh for the moment. Mahdi, you seem to be in control of things here. How do you show us how you get us to the shaman that we're trying to rescue. Show us how you make a path for us. And well, cat, maybe don't roll a stymie. I wish you better dice luck than I'm having right now.
Wow. Okay, we are jovial 4. So, you all hear the screaming of the flame bearer as Valinir just gives him a big old bear hug in his armor. And over that screaming, it's hard to focus on anything else. And when the scream finally, so Madi then off screen sort of takes on all these flame bearers, right? And then the scream is finally silenced with a big thunk to the back of the head, and that flame bearer falls unconscious. And Madi's standing there with the staff, the hippo staff, and as Valinir surveys the field through the ash and everything, there's just flame bearers laying everywhere in all directions, and so Madi grabs Ashash's hand as well, and in the stunned silence, just shouts out, "We gotta run!" and just takes off. We're going up the mountain, up the volcano, even as the rumblings and the ash spews out and the earth cracks from the immense pressure. The only direction to go is up, right into the mouth, and that's their stronghold. That's where they got to be keeping the shaman that we're after. With that, I will hand the dice back to the overplayer. So Pat, start a new phase, and let's see what we can do here. And hopefully we can avoid more stymies, especially if this is a perilous phase.
Okay, it does make sense to go into a perilous phase here. We are glum, right? So, what I think happens is the three of you have kind of run up this somewhat steep, side of the volcano, heading towards the peak, and the sky is still clouded with that dark ash and smoke, and you get to a certain point where you need to stop and catch your breath. Slow down for a second, right, to kind of get your wits back about you, and you turn around to see, like how close your pursuers are, and actually you've made pretty good distance between you and the flame bearers, but I think you begin to see the smoke and that ash, like the air begin to clear out a little bit, and down at the bottom of this slope, you see even more flame bearers, but they're not looking up at the slope at you. They're looking back towards that caldera, that pit of lava that y'all ran from. And slowly emerging from this pit of lava is this worm-like creature. And at first, its skin or exoskeleton is bright, yellow hot as it slowly rises up this out of this magma chamber. And then as like more and more of it comes out of the magma chamber, you could see the skin or shell cools down into like this clean obsidian shiny like volcanic glass color as it slowly rises up out of this magma chamber. And like these flame bearers seem transfixed on it until it reaches a certain point, and it just kind of hovers there for a second. And then you notice off to the slope to the side of you, a pretty good distance away, probably a few hundred yards, you see some other flame bearers dragging the shaman down, tied up, and they're just pretty much dragging them down the slope towards this caldera and this obsidian worm beast, we should say. And we're going to go into a perilous phase. The thunder is they're beginning to turn and look at, the ones that were transfixed on this beast coming out are beginning to turn and look at you standing up this slope. And, the storm is that, they're coming up the side of the slope, and you may have the advantage of being on the higher ground, but they definitely have advantage in numbers as there's dozens of them coming up this hill towards you, while there's another separate group that is dragging the shaman down the slope towards the obsidian beast. So I'm going to pass the dice to Ashash. I'm going to go ahead and start with saying that there's a very large group of flame bearers that have pretty much almost reached you up on this hill, and I think one of them is a little bit faster than the others and leaps up and gets on you and sets his hand on top of like your head, or I don't know if you have a headpiece or anything like that, but like sets his hand on top of your head, and you feel that warmth coming down from the top of your head. And I'll pause it there. If you want me to continue, we'll continue. If not, then you can roll the dice whenever you're ready. If you want to continue the peril, just type in continue underneath and we'll continue.
So Ashash, still suffering from the acrid smoke filling his nostrils, is kind of a little bit out of his normal sensory perception, which is mostly through vision as well, but mainly through smell. And so this flame bearer leaping forward really kind of catches him by surprise. And as their hand placed on his head, you can feel the heat kind of radiating down the scales, and at first it's almost pleasant, a relief. This warmth providing an adrenaline rush as it warms his cold blood. As it starts to grow hotter and hotter, in just this split second moment, Ashash kind of begins to panic and flail about. And I'm gonna say, go ahead and continue here.
Okay, Ashash, you're flailing about, turning around. This flame bearer is on top of you, with its hands on your head, and it's obviously heating you up. From the inside, it feels like this is the hottest your blood's ever been. You don't think your blood has ever been this hot within you before. And as you're flailing about, you see more and more of these flame bearers running up the slope towards all three of you. You're very close to being just overwhelmed by flame bearers. I'm sure Valinir and Madi are doing their best to kind of fend them off the best they can, but you feel that slow panic build up in you, Ashash, as your heart cannot beat any faster. as the blood's trying to find a way to cool itself down, you notice where this flame bearer has kind of wrapped you up, like put his legs around you, kind of like straddled you, like you were giving him a piggyback ride, but he's holding onto your head really tight. You notice where his legs are crossed along your midsection, like some of your scales have begun to actually peel off, like they were shedding. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that.
Okay, that is a Glum 3, Jovial 2. And I'm going to try and flip this around without stopping it this time. Hey, there we go. All right, if I am not mistaken, that is a moral. So moral with a glum tone. Let's see. I think with this flame bearer kind of straddling the back of Ashash, Ashash kind of runs blindly forward, kind of, overwhelmed with this energy, this adrenaline, blood coursing and pumping faster than it ever has. It's, feeling very strong, but not having any sense of really direction still, just kind of charges blindly forward, directly into the approaching group of flame bearers there, as they're kind of the mass of them, with this one still on his back, still driving the heat into him, and I think he is able to kind of just smashes directly into them, probably scattering some of them, but is now surrounded by these flame bearers. Perhaps he's shaken the one off of his back, perhaps not. And I think the moral that Ashash might learn might be there can be too much of a good thing. And I guess I'll end it there. Oh, and I'm not sure exactly how we would or are handling the holding on to the dice to bring more storm aspect, but I'm going to go ahead and slide the dice over to Valinir.
Okay, Valinir, you just saw Ashash kind of run down the slope away from you with a flame bearer attached to his back, and he kind of disappears into this crowd of flame bearers down there. Meanwhile, there's more that have reached you, and you can feel their hands on your armor, and you could feel them moving around, and as you struggle, trying to get away from them, fend them off, you feel more and more hands get onto your armor, and they're prodding and probing, trying to find an opening in your armor in order to get their hands on your bare flesh, and you're beginning to feel the heat as some of them are finding ways to get their hands under your armor.
Valinir sees Ashash descend into the mob, into the press, and is just buried in these flame bearers, these warriors who deliver heat with their hands. I think the only real blessing, if you can call it that here, is that after being, cauterized and basically baked in his armor, he can't feel anything on the outside, outermost layers of his skin. His armor is probably still glowing cherry red, and he's carried on only by the sheer tenacity that kind of exemplifies him. I think that he's pushing and pulling, and he just for a moment rips two guys away from the passageway and gets ready to charge in to try and help Ashash, but the burns and the pain have they've slowed him. This is hard stuff, and they just bury him in bodies, leaving him to struggle against any dozen of foes. I'm not ready to roll yet. Bring it on.
Okay, Valinir, you are currently underneath this mound of flame bearers. They're kind of holding you down. and this one runs over and kind of straddles you. And the flame bearers all have this body paint on that's bright orange and bright yellow. It's real thick. It's like when it's dried and it's cracked, almost like it's mud on their skin. But it's real thick. Like you can tell they put a lot of this body paint on. But this one that is straddling you, they're not touching you with their hands. They're actually touching, like they had their hand on the sides of their own head, and they begin this chant, this slow chant. And all these other flame bearers that are holding you down are also echoing this chant, chanting in rhythm. And this body paint begins to bubble and drip off the flame bearer, and it drips onto your armor, and it sizzles as it eats through your armor a little bit. This single drop falls on your breastplate, and it sizzles, and you feel this slight sting underneath as this sizzling body paint has eaten through your armor, and you notice more and more of this body paint is beginning to melt, and you know that it's eventually going to rain this sizzling hot body paint all over your armor.
Realizing their companions are completely overwhelmed, Madi takes the staff and jabs it into the mass and fishes for Valinir, yanks him up with whatever hangers on, and then reaches her hand into the other pile and grabs onto Ashash's hand and leads both of them down the slope to where the shaman is being carried down, picking up speed as they go. And a rumble from the volcano and shakes the whole mountain and sends Madi tumbling and stumbling and tumbling down the slope. They do their best to hang on, but the whole world is spinning and tumbling, and it's a whole mess. But at least they're sort of headed in the right direction, perhaps.
Okay, I'm rolling the dice. Oh, there's a cat again. Jeez, oh man. That is 6-3 glum. So Modi pulls us out of the pile of flame bearers, and we're just being dragged, down the hill. That lighting is bad. In the wrong, in the direction of the shaman, and we're tumbling, and we're kind of all over the place. And I think in this tumbling, Valinir finally finds his footing, and he plants his feet and grabs the other two so they don't continue to tumble past. And then he turns and just silence, right? Raises his shield and says, "I will hold them off. Get him." And, gestures at the shaman. And then he just trundles his way one step at a time back toward them. The first flame bearer that reaches him just takes the edge of a huge shield in the face. Boom! Down. And another. And there's every chance, right, that he's just going back to his death. His armor is finally starting to cool down just a little bit, and he goes right back into the fire, but at least he's not dealing with that sizzling mucus, the paint on him. So yeah, he's gonna go in and just grim silence, the shield in one hand and an open fist in the other, and just start just banging his way through these guys. With the clouds of acrid smoke and the loud eruption of volcano, there's no sounds of horrible death. There's just him walking through, Darth Vader style through this horde of enemies. As they lay their hands on him, as they burn him, he doesn't care, and he just keeps smashing them together. I'm going to pass the dice to Ashash, as Valinir creates a distraction for you guys to get the job done.
Okay, Ashash. So Madi has pulled you out of this group of flame bearers, and Valinir's doing the work, Vader style, back there to keep them occupied. The shaman is, you could hear the shaman moaning and groaning and yelps of pain as they're dragging him down this slope. He's hogtied and they're just dragging him, over this rocky, gritty, hot ground. It's obviously a very painful situation the shaman is in. There's probably 5 or 6 flame bearers doing this. There's a couple of them dragging. There's just a couple running along the side. There's one that's carrying this like huge javelin, spear-looking metal pole. It's huge. It's like 13 foot long, 12, 13 foot long. And as you glance down towards this caldera where they're dragging it, where this big obsidian beast had risen, you notice there's these same metal spikes or metal poles around the caldera. Each of them, with a charred, skeleton at the, hanging off of it. So you pretty much know what's going to happen to the shaman if they're able to get him down to that caldera and onto that spike. So that's pretty much the danger. Is it's not specific to you or Mahdi, but it's specific to that shaman for sure.
Do not pray for the dead. They are already on their next journey. Pray that we can save the living.
Ashash kind of glances wryly at Mahdi and says, the only prayers I trust are those I can hold. And as they're running down towards the shaman, we've got Glum 1, Jovial 3, so that's going to be another moral. So I'm having trouble coming up with a good moral here. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Glum feat, which is tasting the scent of fear on the air. And as Mahdi and Ashash are gaining on this this group of flame bearers dragging the shaman, Ashash begins to kind of taste, as the acrid smoke is finally cleared a little bit more and more fire and burning from the volcano, begins to taste the fear not only of the shaman but also of the flame bearers as well. And in fact, there's just terror at this worm, just complete and abject terror, even as they bring this sacrifice towards the edge of this caldera. And Ashash kind of whispers as they're running through his heavy breathing. Like something's not right here. They're not in control here either. And with that, I think he's going to take Vesper, his magic rope, and is going to sling it forward, and kind of almost a whistling song, a very breathy, in a strange language, uttering like a command to Vesper. And as it flies through the air, it kind of knots itself almost like a bola, and is able to wrap around the legs of the two flame bearers who are dragging the shaman, kind of slowing them down a bit more, to give us a moment before they reach the edge of the caldera. And I think Ashash kind of says to Mahdi, that was my prayer. I hope yours can do more. And I will pass the dice back to Mahdi.
All right, I will roll immediately. And it's Jovial. Mahdi takes the cue and finally on steady feet runs forward, leaps forward, and with the staff held in front, the hippo staff, uses their momentum and just flying tackles the flame bearers around the shaman, and then grabbing the skewer, this like huge iron skewer from the flame bearer who was holding it, begins just with the staff in one hand and this massive iron skewer, pulling it and whipping it, bringing up the momentum, and just as the flame bearers are beginning to stand up again, just bringing it over and smacking them aside, and finally, having reached their goal, Mahdi kneels down by this pear tree shaman and unties them, gets the restraints off, and time to cool off, I think. And just begins leading the shaman back towards. Actually, we're going to continue down the mountain, away from these flame bearers and everything. Let's just evacuate and leave this volcano to its own devices here. And I will hand the dice back to the overplayer to end the phase.
Okay, so the three of you have come off of the great volcano of Humbia. As you left, you could hear the wails and cries of the flame bearers behind you as they were forced to sacrifice one of their own to the obsidian worm. But you have moved far past those slopes and are descending into the valley of this mountain range, one of the great valleys, I should say. It's still hot, but it's not the oppressive heat that was the slopes of the volcano. This is more of a humid, oppressive feel of dampness and humidity as you descend into a valley. The canopy just gets thicker and thicker as you go lower and lower into this valley. This is going to be a discovery phase, and the thunder is the shaman doesn't seem to be happy, I guess, to be returning to this valley. The shaman seems very, very nervous. So I'm going to pass the dice to Ashash. I'm going to pass the dice to Ashash to make us a discovery in discovery phase.
All right, that is a 6 jovial, 5 glum, so that's going to be a jovial tone. I think as the party here is kind of descending down into this thicker valley, this nervous shaman suddenly, out of nowhere, lets out this this uproarious laughter, and I think, kind of surprised, we all turned to the shaman, and the shaman, joy for the first time on his face since being rescued, says, I've just realized they've taken my burden. My burden is gone. And kind of almost with a skip in his step, kind of continues down into this valley. And my loaded question is going to be, what did one of us unknowingly acquire from the shaman?
So the shaman looks over at Valinir and rubs his hand on Valinir's armor, where some of that sizzling paint had dripped down on Valinir's armor and had sizzled on the armor. And I'm sure Valinir's armor has some smears of that body paint of where Valinir had taken on all these flame bearers. And the shaman says, when the flame bearers created this paint, they created it with a part of my essence, my blood, and a part of my soul. And it has been prophesied among my people that I would be the one to lead them to the promised land, a land without destitution, a land without war, a land of peace. But the prophecy always said that finding that place would also result in my demise. But the spirits that were leading me to that destiny are no longer speaking to me. They all seem to be pointing at you. He's pointing at Valinir, of course. It seems the part of my essence that they took from me was my destiny, and given it to you, the armored one. Yeah, so that is the discovery. So the discovery phase will continue. So, Ashash, you can feel free to pass the dice, whoever you would like to see make a discovery.
Wow, that is some discovery. More of a dooming, even. I've got my dice. I'm gonna roll them. Try and predict where they're gonna land. Almost. I got a 3 and a 4. So that's a glum tone. I think that's a Valinir's armor is scarred not just by this battle, but by, just centuries and centuries of battle. Like, this is armor his father wore, and his father wore, and his mother wore, and so on and so forth. But I think it's always been a very small kind of clan familial thing. It's my brain's not all the way working. It's always been, a directly connected to him thing. It's never been a big prophecy, a promised land kind of vibe. So I think this kind of catches him off guard, and he lapses into silence. And I think, like, as he's thinking about this, he runs his hand down the paint streak that the shaman had touched, and it runs straight into, like, the only real damage in the armor, and it's this deep gouge that's probably like 4 inches long, and it runs over like right where Valinir's heart would be if it wasn't covered by the breastplate. And he remembers the time that the man he pursues, Iron Hand, dealt him this blow in their last encounter. And so my question back to the overplayer is, what connection does Iron Hand have to the Promised Land? And sorry for the delay getting back to you. It's Christmas. Stuff's getting busy.
Okay, guys, bear with me a little bit.
getting over a touch of the flu, so probably sound a little stuffy here. Yeah, I think Valinor, your thoughts are kind of guided by these spirits, so you kind of know where this promised land is, this land of peace, and you feel kind of a sense of relief because as you think about this land, you realize that it is not a land of peace. So you feel like this task, this destiny that has been given to you is folly, because this land of peace that supposedly the Pearwood spirits are pointing you to is not a land of peace. It is actually the land of Ironhand and his people, and you know it's not a land of peace. It's a land full of war. So yeah, you're filled with almost a sense of relief, knowing that this destiny is folly in a way, but also a feeling of dread as you feel like you're being drawn back into conflict with the Iron Hand.
Okay, we have rolled glum moral here. So we take the shaman back to the Pear Tree Village, somewhere along this valley between these mountains, this little forest village. And as we arrive, he explains that he's not going back, but he needs some of his things in order to leave and make a new life now that Valinor has taken his purpose. And so Mahdi, in the evening, just under the crescent moon, Mahdi sneaks in to this forge village, sort of moving from tree to tree, to the temple where the shaman resided, and as Mahdi gathers the shaman's things and goes to leave, they are confronted, or they I think they make a mistake, right? They make some noise. They drop something from this pile of personal items and wealth from the temple that the shaman requested, and so something goes clattering, and a young devotee of the temple suddenly appears in the doorway, and let's see. It seems they are they just ask, like, "Hey, you're the heroes, right? Did you bring back our shaman? You know, is that are you taking your payment, for bringing them back?" Um, and Mari realizes that the it is the children of the village that will be most disappointed if if us heroes just fail to deliver. so they realize, they shouldn't just go along with this supposedly holy person and what they want to leave. Uh, so let's see. My question for the overplayer is um, what uh, what ritual will go unfulfilled when the shaman leaves the village, and I'm gonna pass the dice to Ashash if we continue. Oh, and the moral I think is the uh, holy uh, always check the uh, always check the motives of holy people.
I think the ritual that will be denied if the shaman does not return to the clan is a vision quest. I think the shaman, one of his responsibilities is to individually take each adolescent of the Pearwood clan on a vision quest. This is done using various saps from the trees in the valley, including the Pearwood tree, to make a concoction that sends a single adolescent on a vision quest. And then once upon exiting the vision quest, the adolescent in turn pretty much knows their role to the tribe and the clan. Basically, destiny is everything to the Pearwood clan. So the shaman shirking the duty of providing this necessary rite of passage for them would be a huge blow for them to lose their shaman and that duty. All those adolescents would feel lost without knowing their destiny. So yeah, I'm going to end the discovery phase there. I'm thinking of going into a rogues phase. So if anybody wants to play a trick or anything like that, let me know, and I'll try to get that up by tomorrow. But yeah, we're going to end the discovery phase there. So I'll post the rogues phase tomorrow, unless the trick is played. And then I'll just post the whatever phase we go into. All right. Okay, I believe this is like a couple days later. You all have been given accommodations in the shaman's lodge or temple structure, whatever they have there here in this village, and it's a cool morning. There's like this quiet, hazy mist that has settled over the valley, and I think the tone is pretty subdued in the village. I believe most of the village knows that the shaman is leaving, and there's a lot of worry and confusion going on with that. And I think the shaman is even showing symptoms of failure, believing that that he has failed the tribe from fulfilling his duty. When off in the distance you hear a rumble. This is the thunder, by the way. The rumble isn't actual thunder, but something is rumbling off in the distance, and it's strange because you can almost feel it in your feet, like it's an earthquake aftershock or something underneath. It's very subtle at first, but it's occurring in intervals, and every interval seems to be getting shorter. Like first you felt one every hour or so. Now it's every 30 minutes or so you're feeling this slight rumble under your feet, and that's the thunder. But I believe a crowd is like gathered around this temple, and the Pearwood clan, nearly the whole village is there, and they're begging the shaman to stay. But the shaman really has this defeatist attitude that he can do nothing to help the Pearwood clan anymore. And yeah, they're beginning to get worried, and they're upset. And they're almost like in a desperate position of almost falling apart as a society as a whole because their shaman is planning on leaving them. So I'm going to pass the dice to Madi. This is going to be a rogue's phase. So I'm going to pass it right back to Madi. Madi, show us how you use the teachings and knowledge of Mendarok to help raise the spirits of the Pearwood clan to give them all the hope they need to keep moving forward.
Oh boy. We got stymie and a mystery even. Well, so we're flipping to jovial now, yeah. So Mahdi hangs out in their temple in the shaman's place, and sort of takes on the role of substitute shaman for the moment, and tries to counsel the community, and it takes a while, I think, for the most of a day for people to kind of warm up to Mahdi, but eventually, they sort of they are ready to listen to Mindarik's advice, and Mahdi starts reassuring people that the ritual and the concoction that you drink, it makes connecting to the spiritual world easier. But I mean, look at me, right? My whole temple was destroyed and laid to ruin, or almost everything, and yet here I am, wandering far from any connection, and Mindarik still works through me, and so you can find your destiny anywhere, and just as Mahdi is getting through to these young folks, they're undercut by this huge loud boom from that just echoes through the whole valley and just totally overwhelms all thought, and it is felt as much as heard, right? And this boom is then followed by this rumbling, right? And this huge, as everybody runs outside the temple to see the source of the noise, or at least stumbles outside, looking up to the side of the valley, there's this huge landslide coming, from all the way up the mountain, and it's at first it seems like there's some disconnect, because it couldn't possibly be the source of all this noise and rumbling and shaking, right? Because it's so small up at the top of the mountain there. But Mari soon realizes that this dust cloud and these rocks falling down, they're not small rocks, right? You just look at how slowly they're falling, and how far away they are. And Madi realizes, oh my gosh, the whole, by the time it gets down here, it's going to be this huge avalanche, this huge landslide of these massive boulders picking up so much speed on the way down that it'll just totally flatten it'll come all the way through the forest and just like wreck the trees and possibly even wreck the village, right? And Madi further realizes that despite what they were just saying, Mindarik is not present, not the cause of this, and not able to prevent it. This is some other god's doing. So let's see. So it could be the flame bearer's god, I suppose, but I think but the question, the mystery is how did actually why was Mindarik incapable of preventing this fate, preventing the destruction of the people Madi cares about? Passing the dice. Let's go to Valinir. Valinir, show us how you save the village that you're now destined. Your destiny is now intertwined with. Good luck.
Hey guys, I'm back. Merry Christmas. Sorry about the delay. It's been a long week. I hope everybody had a really good break and is ready to get back to it. I have rolled for 2 jovial, and I think as far as the demand goes, how does Valinir save the village that he's become intertwined with? I think I kind of have to weasel here a little bit, because realistically, I think the answer is that he can't save the village. He's just a guy in some armor with a shield and an axe, and he's a pretty average human being. I think that what it is it has to be that he saves the people, right? He knows that the promised land isn't here; it's out beyond the icy fjords in Iron Hand's domain, and so. I think the play here is, as these rocks begin to tumble down the mountain towards us, Valinir has been deeply engaged in thinking like his way through this and trying to come to terms with this destiny that has kind of been thrust upon him. And when the explosion happens, he looks up at the mountaintop. He sees the rocks begin to fall. He sees kind of how this is going to flow. And I think that as Madi has already gathered all the people up for the to talk to them about Menderik, Valinir leaps to the top like step of the temple doorway and kind of frames himself in it, and he says. And he kind of slams his axe off of his shield to get everyone's attention, and he declares that there's no time to lose. That my brain's not working. The rocks are falling. They're coming. They will destroy this place. But that our destiny is not here. Our destiny is beyond. And he'll point with his axe toward the north, and he'll begin getting the people together to gather supplies, to gather needed things, and start making their way out of the village, away from the rock slide, hopefully keeping ahead of this oncoming storm, which is descending on us. Um, but yeah, it's a very, we'll survive, but not here, not now, right? We have to go north. We have to go to the place that has been promised to you, because this place isn't going to survive. And I think it's just the whole place is this just flurry of activity of people grabbing things and making their way out, and the whole time like Valinir is helping lift heavy things and loading wagons and like keeping one eye on the mountain as those rocks just get closer and closer and down the mountain. So my question is, or my demand rather, Ashash, show us how you buy time for the evacuation, because I don't think we have enough of it.
Oh boy. All right, so we are Jovial 2, Glum 1. Unintended consequence will be needed here. So the demand is, show us how you buy time for the evacuation. And Mahdi already knows that Mindarik was not able to stop this from happening. Therefore, it's up to them. And with a Jovial, let's see. I think the only chance is Mahdi abandons the village, leaving all the people in the hands of Valinir, and runs off into the forest towards the mountain, and just runs with all their might, and finally getting up. Even as the ground is rumbling from the coming rock slide, manages to get up sort of into the foothills and climb up, and using the hippo staff, calling upon all their strength, forces the staff down through the leaf litter, through down to the rock, and pounds it again and again, and calls upon all the force of the what was it? The flame bearers, magma worm, right? And their whatever spirit of the gods, and their perhaps their spiritual belief wavers just enough in Mindorik to connect slightly with this magma worm or whatever flame spirit. And as they desperately pound the staff deeper into the ground, into the rock, lava begins bubbling up through the hole, and it singes Mahdi's feet and staff, and it's the molten rock begins splashing up as they smash and smash, and still they keep working through the smoke and the burning to make sure that the lava spring comes quickly and in enough volume so that when the rocks come down, they get stuck and slowed. At least the bottom, creates more friction by getting caught in this sticky lava and molten rock, to buy some time at the bottom. But so I think the unintended consequence, though, is that Monty has bought time, but also summoned not only the lava but the great magma worm as well, and is trying to has put out a call and brought it forth, um, and so I think it will be hunting down Mahdi, or at least coming to this location, perhaps. So with that, I think I'm gonna end the phase, and I will write a lesson. Let's see. Um, always keep your friends close and your enemies closer.
Okay, this is a re-recording. I actually had rolled the dice before, but I ended up with a stymie, so that flips the overtone from jovial to glum. And I think we're going to move to a perilous phase here. I believe Mahdi and Valinir, you're kind of working as the rear guard for this group of Pearwood refugees as they move out of the valley. You're moving into more higher ground, coming out of the valley. You're at a higher level, you're above the trees. That maneuver pulled off by Mahdi definitely slowed the rock slide, the massive rock slide that was going to just, demolish the valley. Definitely slowed it down, but it did not stop it. It's now like this slow moving pyroclastic flow of lava and giant boulders, and it's just slowly chewing up the valley, and all that lush vegetation that was down there slowly burns as this creeping flow just fills up the valley. Pretty much it's going to look like a wasteland, kind of like the Flamebearers territory. But you managed to get the clan out, and like I said, Mahdi and Valinir, you're kind of like this rear guard. I think Ashash had moved ahead to scout, and you don't feel that rumbling that you felt before when when the rock slide began to fall. Like, it was like an earthquake. It was almost hard to keep your feet. Now it's kind of like a slow vibration under your feet. It's not really, too noticeable, but you feel it. It almost like you can feel the vibration at the bottom of your feet, like almost like a tickle. But that is the thunder. I'm gonna pass the dice to Valinir. All of a sudden, that slight vibration gets really heavy, and the ground shakes with a pulse. And imagine there's like a little bit distance between Mahdi and Valinir and the actual group of the Pearwood clan. I think that like it rumbles and the ground lurches, and it throws Mahdi and Valinir, just throws you both back like 20 foot, and you slam hard on the ground, and up out of this giant chasm that had formed up beneath you is this obsidian worm, and it's towering. It's 20 foot above both of you. It's blocking out the sun. You're in its shadow. It's shiny obsidian carapace is smooth as glass. There's dirt coming off of it. The moisture from the dirt is like causing steam to puff off of the obsidian glass, or the obsidian carapace of this worm, and it is just towering over both Mahdi and Valinir. Valinir, I think, even though Mahdi had attracted it with by repeatedly jamming the staff into the rock, I think it really focuses on you because of you having that burden. And I think that's why the shaman was kind of chosen as a sacrifice for the Flamebearers, was this burden. And for some reason this worm is attracted to it. So Mahdi, this thing is towering over you, and you can tell that it's beginning to curl down and bring that mouth full of razor sharp teeth and steaming jaws and saliva down upon you. Valinir, you have the dice, then it is a perilous phase.
Just jumping in here with bit of a struggle from Mahdi as the obsidian worm comes up and scatters Valinir and Mahdi, and the Pearwood clan kind of scatters and hesitates, and some start to flee, and some are waiting to see what to do. And so Mahdi just yells out, go, keep following Ashash, and get to the river, get across the river. You'll be, wait for us across the river. And Mahdi is just thinking, the wisdom of Mindoric, the safest place to be is, across some natural boundary. So that is how Mahdi guides the Pearwood clan away from the battle, and then they get up and turn to face the worm.
I figured I'd add some struggle as well. Ashash up ahead has reached the river with some of the refugees, and they have just encountered a raging wide torrent. Just definitely not safe to wade or swim across at this time of year, and trying to figure out a safe way to help them get across.
Yeah, I think I'm also just going to struggle a little. I'm not quite ready to roll yet, as this thing is just looming and coming down to presumably crush or consume me. I think Valinir just refuses to bend. He doesn't move, and he just silently, grimly prepares himself to be consumed by the worm. Anything to give these people time to get away. I don't know that he necessarily is trusting in this destiny he's been awarded to guide these people to where they need to be, or if it's just that grim kind of warrior's outlook on life. I think he knows he can't outrun it, and he knows he really can't fight it. So like the move right now is just to let it get closer, so that he can maybe a plan will begin to form. So yeah, bring it on.
I think Valinir, this thing comes down on you with a force you have never felt before on your armor. It just crushes you, but you manage to maneuver yourself so you're not right in the center of the maw. Perhaps you're over to the side of it, and it pushes you down to the earth, and it grinds you down into the soil and stone, as these teeth kind of rotate almost like a drill bit, as it just turns you around, and you're spinning as it drives you down in the earth. You could feel the rocks scraping against your armor, and the pressure is getting heavier and heavier, but your armor is holding up at the moment. But you feel any moment that, if your armor gives way, you're going to be just crushed into a pulp as this thing just starts driving you down into the earth and grinding you. And I believe you're probably just holding on for dear life right now, wondering, if this is the end, as you can feel yourself getting deeper and deeper into the earth. You don't even know how deep you are right now, but this thing is just constantly pushing you down, away. You're in the darkness now and you can't see anything.
Okay, that is 4-2 jovial. Yeah, the grinding of this thing's teeth on my armor and on the earth is terrific. This cacophony, this riot of sound, and I think as they're grinding, it's these alternating rows of teeth grinding different ways, like a big boring bit for drilling. And I think that at some point, Valinir has lost his shield, he's lost his sword, or his axe, and all he has is just his hands. And he grabs onto one row of teeth with his hand, and with the other end, with his legs, hooks onto another row, and just essentially turns himself into a giant wedge for this creature. Just ripping and trying almost to pull the teeth the other way. Even though he knows he's not strong enough to do that, but he doesn't. He's doing his best to not be eaten, right? And he's hoping to inflict enough pain on this creature as he's just ripping for dear life, just pulling in alternating directions, trying to stop the grind of these teeth. Yeah, and I don't know how successful it is. Like I do. Oh boy. Yeah. I'm just trying to hold the teeth. I'd love, like, even for just a second, you can feel like it just stopped for a moment as this creature realizes that Valinir is not going to be so easy to be rid of. Yeah. I will pass the dice to Ashash, since he's been out for a while, and we can continue.
Okay, Valinir, I think you do actually manage to stop one of these rows of teeth from going around in a circle, and it like stops with a sudden pressure, and like the row of teeth behind it all of a sudden stop, and the row behind that all of a sudden stops, and and it's almost like a split second, but like every row after that one, like a domino effect, just stops in place for just a second, and like if you can feel it, it's almost like this obsidian worm screams, but there's no sound. It's just like this huge shudder that goes throughout the whole body of the obsidian worm, and it like cavitates the ground, like shakes it real bad, and yeah, and like you can feel it. It's almost like a sound wave just emanating out from where Valinir and this worm kind of like disappeared into the ground a little bit, and I think it's Shosh, like this shockwave gets to you, and it like the whole ground that you and the refugees are standing on just sinks like 30 foot down, like a big old sinkhole, and you are next to the river, and all of a sudden the river is flowing into this hole. So Ashash, you are in the bottom of this like sinkhole, and like you're just surrounded by refugees that are just taking a huge fall into like this sinkhole, and it's now filling with water, and the sides are real sheer, and yeah, a very dire situation that this hole is pretty much going to fill up with water, with you and these refugees in it. So, yeah, Josh, you still have the dice.
All right, we've got a glum result. So I think, Ashash is down in this pit that's just water's just pouring into it. A lot of these refugees aren't, they aren't brave, strong warriors. They're children and frail. And I think Ashash, takes Vesper, his rope, kind of off of his back, and kind of tries to sling it up to catch hold of anything it can at the top. And so he kind of like whispers at it. It's able to kind of get the top of the rope up over the edge of the crevasse there. As this water just continues to pour in, and he's able to loop it around something and kind of pulls down on it to make sure, and then starts trying to have a few of the refugees climb up the rope. And just as the first are starting to get to the top, I think the rope just comes free. Whatever it was holding on to, it was like a tree or a boulder, just now falls down into the pit as well. That's starting to fill up with water even more, about waist level now, and still coming. I think in desperation, Ashash actually kind of takes a moment in prayer to a god he's not thought of speaking to in many years. Just takes a moment, whispering in a strange tongue. And there's just kind of this this still almost hopeless moment down in the pit there.
Okay, Marty. Yeah, I think you definitely see. Well, first you feel that shockwave, pass through the ground as you see the whole body of the obsidian worm, or at least the part of it that's visible above ground, just like shiver and sends this shockwave through the ground. You probably managed to keep your footing, perhaps using your hippo staff to balance yourself, keep your footing. I think over to your right you see Valinir like disappear, or like buried underneath the head of this obsidian worm. And then to your left in the distance you just see all the refugees along with this Shosh just suddenly sink into the ground, and the river begin flowing into this giant pit that's in the ground. And I think you're gonna have to make a decision here on which route you're gonna take. You had the refugees on one side, and on the other side you have Valinir that seems to be battling this obsidian worm like halfway into the ground. So yeah, Marty has the dice.
All right, Marty's rolling. We got Glum high. So as the worm comes down into the ground and buries Valinir, Marty stands there, with the staff ready to attack. Looks back, sees the disaster befalling all of these refugees now, and just quickly runs over to where the worm is sticking out of the ground, the great obsidian beast, and shouts down into the ground. Remember, pain is a lesson. You can get out of this on your own. And then runs over towards the river. I think as Ashash is, again trying to loop something sturdy up there with the rope. Finally, he catches something as Mahdi grabs onto the rope, ties it around the staff, and says, "Climb, climb, climb," and just begins tugging on it, and using the staff sort of as a lever deep into the mud to help brace the rope against the weight. So as I'll say, actually, when I think Ashash has to stay to like help people get up from the bottom. But finally, once that's done, right, once we've got all the kids out and everything, then Madi says, I'll stay here. Go and help Valinir. I'm not sure how long he can hold out against this creature that's chasing us. Good luck. And I'll maintain the rope. So yeah, passing the dice to Ashash again. Actually, no. No, we should pass it to Valinir. Yeah, pass it to Valinir. But Ashash, I think, should be ready to assist. but really, it's on Valinir when he can take no more.
Okay, Valinir, yeah. So you felt this like huge shudder that shot through the ground as those teeth managed to stop them rotating for just a second, and like this huge shudder went through the ground, but then it continued to keep grinding you down deeper and deeper into this earth and stone. Yeah, and I think that like even though it feels like you're going deeper into the ground, what's actually happening is you're actually getting deeper into the maw of this obsidian worm as it begins to swallow you.
Okay, I didn't have my dice handy, so I rolled on a dice roller. I got a three jovial, 2 glum, which is a moral. So I think we find Valinir slowly being ground by one row of teeth after another, but he knows that it causes this thing pain when he when he stopped the teeth before, and so he just with a feat of strength starts to like rip pieces off of his own armor. First the helm, and then the gauntlets, and then piece by piece. As he's being grounded, each layer he's jamming these pieces of armor in between the teeth to make it where they can't really, wedging them just like he did before, but this time with purpose. Until finally, like this creature is just experiencing tremendous pain, from just metal after metal after metal just being jammed in here. As Valinir takes off the ancestral armor and uses it as a weapon to defeat this creature, until finally it convulses and it disgorges him, just covered in like detritus and slime and everything else, out. Like it rears back and just spews him back down to earth. Before just collapsing, trying to keep its teeth moving, and it just can't, because these ancient, indestructible pieces of metal are just crammed in there. And moral wise, I think the moral I'm going to go with is don't bite off more than you can chew. Which is kind of a two-way thing. Like Valinir thought that, he could go inside of this creature and somehow kill it from the inside, and it ended up costing him dearly. And the creature, tried to eat Valinir, which obviously is not going to work out for him. Yeah, and with that, I think I'm going to hand the dice to the overplayer and end the phase.
Rolling for overtone. We got a 6 glum and 2 jovial for glum. All right, so I think we're going to go into a discovery phase here, because I'm kind of at a loss where to move after that crazy scene, perilous phase scene. So yeah, let's say this is like in the direct aftermath of what just happened. It's like the refugees and Mahdi and Ashash have pulled these refugees out of this muddy hole. The obsidian worm is like kind of disappeared. Valinir is just standing there, just all covered in this gunk and slime, and like there's like this just a sense of quiet, and as everybody, the refugees, Mahdi, Ashash, Valinir, like you're all just looking at each other, and it's like, what's next? What's gonna happen next? But yeah, there's like this eerie just silence after the commotion of what happened and the craziness that just went on. There's like this eerie silence that has fallen over, and it's almost like you can hear, just the soft whistle of the wind. And yeah, that's gonna be the thunder. It's just like this eerie silence. I'm gonna pass the dice to Mahdi. Mahdi, make us a discovery, and yeah, we'll see where this goes.
Okay. Let's see. We're going jovial. Mahdi, uh, just sort of takes in the silence and gathers everybody together. Um, and uh, the poor Valinir without his armor. Madi, I think upon seeing what happened, Madi just kind of comforts Valinir, says, we'll get your armor back. But more importantly, I think first we need to get these people to safety because it has become clear that the gods of this region are quite angry. Something has gone wrong here, and I'm not sure that it's just our doing or the doing of the shaman, because not only the magma but the the mountain betrayed us and the river betrayed us. And as Madi explains to the group, Mindoric teaches that um, the normally you can rely on one or the other, um, but if everything is chasing you, then something is very wrong. So anyway, we need to get clear. And Madi's even looking around at the forest, suspiciously, and so leads the refugees now well out of the valley, sort of keeping a distance from the river, and walking out, and with no clear direction other than, I guess we should sort of head towards wherever Valinir might have an idea to lead us. But getting out of the valley, I think we find that the oh yes, the uh, oh, I got it. Okay. The this wind picks up, right, and starts like moving us down the valley, sort of at our backs, speeding us along our way. And it's quite a warm wind as well. And so I think it is the uh, uh, at least Amadi's interpretation, a deity of some kind, perhaps more gently suggesting, to move us along. And so since Madi's kind of religion is called the wind path, my question is, what what sign of protection does this deity show us? What um, like what's it called? In inescapable side of protection, obvious, clear sign that this wind spirit will guide us.
So I believe the wind is like as you and the refugees feel it and the rogues feel it. It's like a gentle nudge pushing you through this valley. You know, the wind at your back. It's pushing you along the way. You know, giving you a reprieve on not only your legs but also your soul in a way. To feel this comforting wind just kind of gently push you through the valley. The sign that this wind is also protective is that, you know, in a distance around you, the wind is furious. It's whipping around. You can see it kicking up dust and dirt, and it's like clouding up the air with sort of like this dust storm that's surrounding you. But where you guys are at, it's just like this gentle breeze that's pushing you along. But all around you is obscured. Like anybody that was, you know, that wasn't within, you know, 200 feet of you would even be able to see you because of all this dust and particulate that's in the air. You know, it is obscuring the whole group. But yet within like this pocket, you are being gently pushed along. So you are definitely under some type of god or wind spirit's protection. So I'm going to pass the dice to Ashash. Ashash, give us another discovery here. And I also added a motif to or a thread to the third motif. So we are in the end game. Just let me know, you know, after anybody does their narration, if they reincorporate, and the rogue that doesn't reincorporate at the end gets to do a little epilogue if we need one. So, yeah, Ashash, you have the dice to make us a discovery.
All right, so I rolled a stymie, and I had to pause for a second and look at how stymies work with the discoveries. So I think as we are walking along, this gentle, warm breeze at our backs, and it's always at our backs, and you know, around us the wind is growing even stronger, and it's violently ripping through the forest and the trees, and this wind guiding us, you know, in this just narrow, calm path, with all this wind blustering around us, and I think we finally, like, it guides us directly to near like a sheer cliff face, and you know, all of a sudden, even the wind right where we are, all around us, kind of picks up, and then falls completely still. And you know, looking at the cliff face there, I think there's just a narrow crevice in this cliff, and just wide enough for a single person to fit through. The stillness all around us, and I think you know, Ashash has been walking with some of the children who were you know, intrigued by the snake man scales, and you know, made kind of good friends with these small children, and one of them kind of starts to rush forward towards this crevice, and Ashash kind of goes after him, and the kid goes into the crevice, and Ashash follows, and it's just a very narrow, not even like a cave or a cavern, just almost like a crack in the sheer cliff face, and peeking through the other side, it is just it's an Edenic, like lush garden almost, with gigantic ferns the size of trees, and just this stunning beauty and calm, and it's warm, and the wind is still inside of this place. You know, beautiful birds flit around and are perching on trees. And I think as we, a few more follow through this crevice, we just see this giant lumbering mammoth, and no one has seen mammoths in years and years, centuries. We've heard stories from days of old, but never seen them before. And it's just calmly kind of glances over and glances back to what it's doing, and eats some leaves off of some of these fern trees, and lets out this mighty kind of trumpet, and then lumbers off into this beautiful place. And I think in this moment of amazement, this stunning landscape with this strange animal, the crimson egg in Ashash's pack, keeps it carefully kind of wrapped up, moves ever so gently, and a small crack starts to break through its shell. And of course, Ashash doesn't notice at all. And I think my question is going to be, let's see. Yeah. Let's see. I think I'm going to ask this crimson egg was said to prophesied to have bring about, when it hatches, a great change. Whether that's good or bad, the prophecy doesn't say. So I'm going to ask, does it bring about... Sorry, phone is low on battery. The notification cut recording. My question is going to be the cracking open of this crimson egg. What is the first portent of our impending salvation or doom?
Okay, Ashash, I think the obvious portent here of either your doom or salvation is within this this hidden world that's in this cave, because all around you, that safe space that was kind of like this bubble of calm winds that was surrounded by this swirling vortex gale-like winds is shrinking, and you could tell this wind is almost pushing you directly towards this gap. So it's either like you would have to make the choice either to enter this crevice into this world, or stay behind, and that bubble of wind of gentle wind is going to disappear, and you're going to be caught in the severe windstorm that was surrounding you the whole time. So that is definitely the main portent of either your doom or salvation. Okay, I had to roll some virtual dice on my phone since I don't have physical dice with me. But yeah, so I think we're gonna move into a rogue's phase here. I rolled a 6 glum, 5 jovial. So I think like this wind, this pocket of wind, as it's shrinking, it's like pushing the refugees and the rogues into this crevice, into this rock face here. You know, it's pushing you in, and like you could hear the wind beginning to whip, like outside, and like it's pretty much forcing you into this crevice. Your bubble of security that the wind spirit had given you is closing now, as it is forcing you into this area full of lush giant plants, and like you can see insects like flittering to and fro, and they're large, like not like normal insects, or prehistoric, right? You pretty much like entered this prehistoric almost jungle within this rock. And I think the thunder is like, as you enter, like, you know, as the loudness outside, you kind of are overcome by kind of the sereneness of this landscape in here. And you know, you feel kind of at peace, but I think the jungle is kind of reacting to your presence. And you can see like the big leaves on the plants kind of like turn towards you, and you know, you can see some vine growth like faster than, like, normally you can't see a vine grow, but you see like a little bit of vine growth very slowly kind of moving up the walls a little bit. And that's the thunder. So we're gonna start with the dice to Valinir. Valinir, show us how you figure out how to navigate this dense and lush landscape that, you know, is full of flora and fauna safely.
Hey guys, long time no see. I have been stupid slammed. We were flying cross country and then getting ready for my brother-in-law's wedding, which we've just finished up. I have rolled another stymie. And it makes you wonder if you're really meant to make it through sometimes. So the overtone was glum. This will flip her to jovial. And I think that the way this goes is that it starts off well enough. Volley listens for water, thinking that, you know, the water would run from deeper in and they could follow it up to a new place. And so he leads this bedraggled band of refugees, and Madi and Ashosh up into the up to like this small river that runs through this place. And I think that, I don't know if it's just that he's hubristic, having survived so much, or if he is just beaten down from so many close encounters. But I don't think he's exercising real caution. He's not using his whole brain. And because it's obvious to anyone with any, you know, sense of magic that this place is guarded by some kind of powerful spirit to be so verdant and lush, kind of in this hidden place. And I don't think Valinir respects that, at all. And I think he just starts chopping his way through this jungle, single-minded in his intent to find a safe place for these people to be, at least to rest until they can get their strength up to go north to his homeland, where he is supposedly to take them. And yeah, I think that, you know, we got kind of these establishing shots of the vines moving very slowly, and I think that as we push toward the heart of the jungle, that it really comes to life. Animal sounds and rushing, you know, the moving of vines and rustling, and you can see the villagers starting to get nervous, like something's wrong here, and they might even say, you know, hey, let's not do this, right? Let's not go any deeper. But Valinir is unwilling to stop. He's sure that where we need to go is deeper. And I think that the reprisal of this ancient spirit becomes very obvious as like stragglers amongst the refugees, you know, get picked off. And 1 second they're there, whoop, you know, and then there's a vine yanks them out of the way and they're gone. and the noise of the rustling trees and screaming animals kind of covers that up. And yeah, I think without any intent, Volinir leads them like deep into a very dangerous situation. And I think I'd like to, with that, reincorporate a mystery, the mystery of why Mindrick was incapable of helping the people that Mahdi cared about. And I think the answer is that there are many powerful spirits in this world, and there are more powerful ones than Mindrick at play here. The spirits that the fire shamans controlled in the magma worm, and then this place, which obviously has a real powerful spirit. Yeah, and that's me. I believe that Ashash already reincorporated, so I guess that leaves Mahdi to lead us out of here in epilogue, or see that we fail.
So an epilogue in the jovial overtone here. Mahdi realizes that people are disappearing, and they run up and down the caravan, calling out names and getting no response from the people that are missing. And they begin to realize, the spirit of this place has been angered, and so they go up to towards the front, towards Valinir, and sort of put a hand on him to stop him. And then Mahdi raises their staff and says, "Hear me, spirit. I will swear fealty to you and become your guardian and your soldier. And all I demand is that you let my people go." And then Mahdi smacks the staff forward, and the jungle parts, and a path opens up, splitting up ahead, and the trees and the vines bend along the line of the staff and going outward, and through some openings in the roof, sunlight streams down in these rays onto the path, and we see it, an opening far ahead in the far wall of the gigantic cavern, with the sunlight just beaming through this opening, and the missing people, right? As the jungle sort of quiets and fades, the missing people step out of the vines, a little disheveled, but still whole, and Mahdi just gestures for them to continue down the path, right, and go out, and so Mahdi decides to stay behind, since obviously these spirits and gods are more powerful than Mindoric, and Mindoric is kind of apparently waning or dead. It's time to move on. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for the awesome game. Talk to you again.